more 428 Shibuya Scramble. Last time we played, well, I think we did most of the storyline for Kano. Oh, I did not want to do that. Gonna go back to the time chart. Our bad end was getting married, which was very funny. We could play as Achi, we could play as, I think, Tama. Yeah, we're on Keep Out. Osawa, Minarikawa. So, let's get out of here, please. This game is insane. It sure is. There's an autoplay. I didn't even know that. Get me out of this hellhole. All right. So who do we play as? Two years ago with Maria. You don't even have to play the game? Oh, kinda. You choose paths. Oh, yeah. I mean, you don't have to press the buttons. Though I will press the buttons because I probably won't read at the same pace. I guess what we'll do, we'll start with Aki. Running through Center Guy. My only honey drop that I have left is in my mouth, so this is going to be very painful. Aki and Hitomi scampered through the back roads along Center Guy, white sneakers and pumps slapping on the pavement. Aki kept his eyes peeled, continually checking ahead and behind as they darted through the gaps between the buildings. Finally, they stopped in a narrow alley. "There's no way they'll find us here," he said. "No one knows about this place." He took another look around, then let out a sigh of relief. It seems they managed to shake the gunman for now. Back when Aki was with SOS. Wait. What is SOS? The abbreviation for Studs of Shibuya, the name given to the group by Aki when he founded it. Originally just a bunch of like-minded young people hanging out together. It has since become known as a gang that picks fights around Shibuya. I could see Mike being an SOS. He had come through Center Guy practically every day. The gang had started out as little more than a group of local teens. They didn't do much in particular, just horsing around and killing time. What mattered was that they were having fun. But it wasn't long before it wasn't all fun and games. Aki couldn't help but notice the slobs were making a mess of Shibuya, dirtying it up. He wasn't about to let them get away with it. Most frequently, it was folks who tossed cigarette butts out on the street or plastered walls in graffiti. When they didn't respond to his more gentle warnings, he found slightly more forceful ways of getting his point across. SOS got a reputation. Street punks started trying to pick fights with its members. Those guys required a bit more force to handle. And when it came to the worst of the lot, the drug dealers, the muggers, the guys who tried to force themselves on women, it was full-on battle, no holds barred. Before long, SOS had established itself as something of a vigilante corps. Soon it became known as one of the biggest gangs in Shibuya. Let's lay low here for a bit and see what happens, Aki said. The alley where they hid was like a dimly lit chasm, obscuring them from view. The only problem now was figuring out what to do next. They needed to find that blue van again, which meant figuring out the best way to get back to Dogenzaka without the man with a cane catching them once more. Aki, Hitomi whispered. I think I can handle myself from here. She got to her feet and gave Aki a deep bow. Whoa, Aki held up a hand. We've been over this already. You're not going to be okay. That guy has a gun. If he let her go up against that assassin alone, he might as well be the one to pull the trigger himself. I thank you so much for everything you've done for me, Hitomi continued as if she hadn't heard him. She started to shuffle out of the alleyway. Hey, what did I just say? Really, Aki? I appreciate your concern, but I can't, in good conscience, put you in danger anymore. But I mean, Aki tried to press the point, but Hitomi cut him off. There is no good reason for you to risk yourself to keep helping me. Her tone was resolute, but Aki was determined to help her anyways. He refused to back down. Aki knew she had a point. He decided to back off. Oh. I'm out? Mike, you're gonna miss out on this? I cannot believe it. Alright, we're gonna go with B. Aki knew she had a point. He decided to back off. Just then, a bit of light shone into the alleyway from above. Looked like someone... Uh-oh, it's a red one. Someone on the adjacent building's upper floor had turned on the lights. There's Tama. We're jumping to Tama. The storeroom opens with a rough grating sound. Where's the light switch? Oh, okay, well, we already did this. Why was there a reason to jump? What the heck is this? We already did this. So there's no reason to go there. Somebody. On the adjacent building's upper floor had turned on the lights. The Nakane building, this multi-tenant building, has 7 floors. But a decade-old urban legend tells of a mysterious 13th floor. There's missing like 6. A Diet Aid sales demo is being held on one of the upper floors today. The light illuminated Hitomi's face. When Aki saw the look in her eyes, he reconsidered his decision. She was trying her hardest to hide it, but she was clearly terrified. Smash her mouth, let's go. No, we can't. We're gonna get DMCA'd. No way he was letting her go back out there alone. Still, if he tried to insist, she would only refuse him again. Hitomi, humor me for a second here. Tell me, what's the proper way to dispose of a plastic bottle? She stared at him in surprise. Well, first you remove the cap and wrapper. Then you rinse out the inside and crush it. Aki let out the breath he'd been holding. Okay, good. Huh? I didn't even know that. I just throw the bottle in. Oh my god. I've learned something today. Huh? I don't understand. What's good? Whoa. Are we having a confession here? Barbarian. That's true. I am living like a barbarian. I probably should wash out my furs as well. You gave me my reason why I have to help you out. I super respect people who respect the environment. I'm one of those whatchamacallits, an environmentalist. Aki pointed at his mean, clean shirt. Hitomi hesitated. And what was your plan if I said that the answer was to toss the plastic with the trash? Well, then I need to stick with you to help you teach you. Our environmental awareness begins with good education. So you were going to tag along with me regardless. Look, I'm just super pumped to learn that you care so much about proper recycling. Aki cracked a huge grin. Okay then. Okay. If you're really that sure about it, I guess I could use your help a little while longer. Oh, can love truly bloom in the alleyway? Hitomi flashed him a little smile. Man, she's so cute, Aki thought. Then something else caught his eyes. Huh? What's that there? Looked like something black was stuck to the top of her head. Aki, what are you staring at? You got something stuck there. What, on my head? Without thinking, Hitomi reached up and plucked it off. It was about 10 centimeters long, its body glistening black, sporting feelers and several pairs of legs. Uh-oh. It began to writhe and wriggle between Hitomi's slender fingers. Gah! Aki yelped, "It's a cockroach!" He jumped backwards, but Hitomi didn't so much as flinch. She grabs it, and she eats it. Ooh, sorry, that gave me a bit of a start, he continued. Guess it must have fallen from... Oh, it's the bug that was in the storehouse with Tama. I guess it must have fallen from one of the windows up there. Still, Hitomi did not move. Hitomi? She didn't appear to hear him. Hello, Hitomi? Ugh. With a muffled gurgle, Hitomi passed out on the spot, her body stiff as a mannequin. What, Hitomi, are you okay? Not everything is connected. Everything is connected. Everything. Hitomi! 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 But no matter how loudly Aki called her name, Hitomi would not come to. Bug end. And so she died. And from that day onward, Aki devoted even more of his time and energy to collecting trash. It became his personal passion to see that his city was a clean one, devoid of cockroaches. That was the mandate he had been handed, or if nothing else, his atonement. She died? What? Wow, we gotta go see Tama. Tama Goyachi. I snatch up the cardboard box and make a run for it. Ooh, I made it. When I get back to the break room... Oh yeah, we already did that. Talk about eel. Okay, got it. Why don't the three of us start our own company? Not happening. Where is the burning hammer? It's in the loading dock. It really was the bug end. Yeah, let's... It was right here a little while ago. Uh-oh. Hey, boss, is that... There it is. My burning hammer. Burning hammer. Come back. We already did that. It's the recycling guy. There's no sales demo, there's no money. Shibuya Scramble is actually a teaser for Part 9 JoJo Lands. Yes. How did you know? Ow! Boing! The child is embarrassed of her father. To live that moment. Already 12:35. When are we gonna get the bad end? There we go. I wonder if I could just skip from there the second we selected B. Alright, back to Aki. Change the bug end. Man, she's so cute. Oh. Sneaking out from the alley, Aki and Hitomi began to make their way along the side streets back towards Dogenzaka. It was a pretty big detour compared to taking the main thoroughfares, but that would be worth it if it meant they avoided the man with the cane. Aki looked over at Hitomi as she walked alongside him. Her face was solemn. He could feel the intensity of her worry for her sister. Oh, well, well, well. Look who's got himself a little cutie. A sudden call startled him. He spun around. Yo, Mean Clean, over here. Aki spotted a young man up ahead, sneering at him. At his side were two others. Aki recognized the lot. SOS. Hitomi let out a nervous squeak. Aki? Don't worry about them. He led her onward, attempting to stride past the trio. Whoa, hey now, you just gonna ignore me? That's pretty darn rude, especially coming from someone who used to be an old buddy. three toughs moved to bar Aki's path. Oh, she's hella fine. Come on, ain't you gonna introduce us? What is hella fine? Extremely attractive. Oh, I see. The etymology of hella is somewhat unclear, but its meaning is very indisputed. Very, a lot of, totally, and the like. Potential synonyms for hella fine include mighty fine, fine as hell, and banging. Sorry, man. I'm in a bit of a hurry here, Aki said. He gave them a tepid smile. Big hurry, huh? Where to? Some love hotel in Maruyamacho? Too rich, another chimed in. She's a screamer, Aki. Aki? What does that mean? Take a stereotypical way to poke fun at a would-be amorous couple. Now take Aki's name. There you go. Aki. They burst out howling like a gang of monkeys. One of them cackled like a grinning idiot. Aki, Aki. Aki. Aki felt his anger boil. These guys were in sore need of a major ass-kicking, but there was too much at stake. He was just gonna have to suck it up and ignore them for the time being. A or B? We must decide. 3 against 1, eh? These guys were in a sore need of a major ass-kicking. Aki stepped up to the ringleader. Bam! The tough dropped to the ground with a dull thud. Oh, sorry, that was terribly rude of me. Aki kept his tone light and jovial, but he eyed the others like a hawk eyeing its prey. Is he gonna be alright? Hitomi murmured. She looked at the man Aki had laid out with some concern. He'll be fine. If that's all it took to knock him out, he's got no right to act all badass. Aki, huh? I don't believe I've had the pleasure. Uh-oh. A taller man with an angry gleam in his eyes had appeared atop the steps nearby. He must have turned up during the commotion. He radiated a distinct aura of menace. That's me, Aki replied. And just who are you? For once, it was someone he didn't recognize. The name's Yoji Kiryu. The dragon. Used to roll with a gang from Ikebukuro until a few months ago. Known as the killer whale of Bukuro. He answered any and all resistance with his fists. His crazy antics led him to be kicked out of the gang. However, and lately he's been hanging around Shibuya. I joined up with SOS after you left. Now I'm Susumu's number 2 guy. The newcomer stared at Aki's face, sizing him up. Our legendary founder, I've heard so much about you. The founder. It had been a long time since anyone had called him that. There had been a bunch of arguing over on who would take charge of the new group that was forming to set things straight in Shibuya. At some point, folks had started hailing him as the force behind SOS. But founder was just something his buddies called him. He had never paid it much heed. Shibuya was a place for fun, not hierarchies. At least in Aki's mind, that's how it ought to be. Like how you busted up some mean old drug dealers, rescued your pals from Yakuza bondage? What is a bondage? Here, bondage is used strictly in the sense of captivity. In other types of Yakuza bondage, any other types of Yakuza bondage will not be featured in this game. Sorry if the tip link got your hopes up. Oh. You're a real hero. Kiryu's tongue flicked from his mouth like a snake. Hitomi shuddered. Aki couldn't blame her for being creeped out. But that's all in the past now, isn't it? Kiryu continued. You went modestly on your way. It's all up to us now. And we've helped SOS grow by leaps and bounds to help carry on your legacy, no matter who stands in our way. That thought didn't sit right with Aki. If aggressive expansion was the name of the game, the gang was losing touch with its roots. It wasn't about keeping Shibuya safe and fun anymore. Make SOS bigger, huh? He said. I'm guessing that was Suzumu's call as well? Kiryu didn't answer his question. His mouth merely twisted in a knowing sneer. In any event, I think these boys here need a little lesson in manners. The guillotine ought to do the trick. Guillotine is a capital punishment device invented in the 18th century France. The condemned is executed by decapitation by means of a heavy blade that descends from above. Named for physician Joseph Ignace Guillotin, who advocated its use to the National Assembly, both King Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette were executed by guillotine. The other gang members started an alarm. Whoa, hey, just calm down, man. It's anything but the guillotine. Kiryu pointedly ignored their pleas. Whoa, hey, what's the guillotine? Aki asked. Kiryu smirked. The guillotine is the guillotine. With me, worms. Without a glance back, Kiryu strolled away, with his two underlings following him unhappily. Aki wondered what lay in store for them, but right now he had more important things to worry about. Come on, let's go. This Kiryu has killed the man, that's right. He took Hitomi by the hand and they were back on their way. Oh no, I'm gonna get DMCA'd again. Oh, Hitomi perked up. That's me. She reached into her pocket and took out her cell phone. Huh? She stared at the screen with consternation. What is it? Aki asked. It's an email from Mr. Tanaka. Who's Mr. Tanaka? He works with my father. I'm not sure what I should do. Aki remembered that the criminal had warned her against contacting her family or the police. She seems reluctant to even open this message. I'm sure it's fine to just read an email, he said. And besides, it's not the police and he's not your family. Yeah, you're right. Hitomi scanned the message anxiously. Sounds like he's worried about me, she said. Then does he know about the kidnapping? Yes, I know my father trusts him. And he's always been so. Hitomi cut herself short. It was clear to Aki that she and this Tanaka person had some sort of close relationship. I wonder if it's safe for me to let him know what the situation is. I think it should be, Aki told her. I mean, the kidnappers aren't going to know you sent an email, right? Hitomi began typing out a response. Aki watched over her, wild speculations running through his mind. What is this music? There was no way a mild-mannered young lady like her would be dating one of her father's co-workers, was there? Oh! Jump to Osawa. Oh, we can't jump. Unless she was all about finding herself a sugar daddy. Excuse me? No, he was being ridiculous. Aki banished the thought from his mind. Besides, Hitomi's personal life wasn't the problem right now. The problem was this psycho with the cane and the gun. Something wrong? Hitomi asked. He just finished sending the email. Oh, no, nothing at all. Aki did his best to look nonchalant. It was a good thing she couldn't read his mind. They exited Center Guy and resumed their approach towards Dogenzaka by way of Maru Yamacho. There are many hotels in Maru Yamacho. These are not the ordinary establishments, but rather the sort of a hotel where two people who are inclined might what? It's redacted. My what? My innocent mind can't even comprehend. A couple heading to this kind of place in the early afternoon would, without a doubt, be assumed to be bent on what? You might be wondering whether an option for these two to get up to some mischief will appear as a selection prompt. Well, don't get your hopes up. This isn't that kind of game. Oh. Another long detour to decrease their odds of running into the gunman. They made an unlikely pair. Scruffy Adachi. That's the wrong person. Scruffy Aki, limbs lackadaisically swinging to hide his embarrassment, and brisk purposeful Hitomi. Jeez. Aki found himself watching her out of the corner of his eye. He could still feel her anxiety. He wished there was some way to ease her fears. Purposeful. Shut up. Hey, Hitomi, mind if I ask you something? Sure, go ahead. Okay, so I realize this might be kind of a weird question, but put on a serious face. What does eco in eco-friendly mean? Huh? I know it's about helping the earth and all, but I don't know what it really means, you know? Hitomi thought for a moment. I'm pretty sure it's short for the English word ecology. Oh, ecology? What? Eh? A subset of biology that deals with the reciprocal relationship between organisms and their environment. Nowadays, the term can also refer to cultural and societal effects on the global environment. The latter usage can be broad and imprecise, making the exact meaning somewhat difficult to define. Which is the science of examining the relationship between man and nature. Oh, right, science! Pleased with himself, Aki chattered on excitedly. A faint smile crept back on Hitomi's face. Say, do you ever hear about the clean river here in Shibuya? A clean river? In Shibuya, really? Ask 100 youngsters outside of Shibuya Station the same question, and you probably get the same answer 100 times. Yeah, the Shibuya River. You know that drainage channel we saw earlier? Wait, that's the clean river you're talking about? By no reasonable definition was the Shibuya River what anyone would call clean. That's the one, Aki grinned at her confusion. See, the river used to be clean a long time ago. I read about it in this old book called Science Strikes Back. Now, Now what is that? Science Strikes Back is a popular monthly magazine abbreviated SSB. Super Saiyan Blue? The series has been running for 29 years now, but the Strike Back appendix is still immensely popular with children. The woman who handles the home deliveries is known as the SSB lady, and the children wait excitedly on the 25th of each month for her to make her rounds. I used to have that book, Hitomi chirped, her eyes wide with excitement. You're talking about that bit with the river that got turned into a song, right? The famous 1912 song, Haru no Ogawa, The Spring Brook, with lyrics by Tatsuyuki Tanako and music by Teiichi Okano. It is said that the song was inspired by the view of the upper course of the Shibuya River running through Tanako's childhood. Okay, let me reread that. It is said that the song was inspired by the view of the upper course of the Shibuya River during Tanako's childhood. In the modern day, there is a stone monument bearing the song's lyrics along the Odakyu line between Yoyogi Hachiman and Sangubashi. Takano. Yeah, did I say that? Or did I say Tanako? Yeah, that's the one. You read it too? I did. Aki felt a giddy rush at this unexpected connection they shared. Imagine if there was still a clean, beautiful river here in Shibuya. It'd be a perfect place for taking a romantic stroll. Hitomi looked up at Aki. She seemed to share his joy in this idea. Then wouldn't that be amazing, Aki said? If that dirty little channel could be clean like it used to be, it would. Maybe as amazing as the look on Hitomi's face right now, Aki thought. Hitomi, tell me. Some more ecology stuff. Hit me with whatever you got. She seemed happy to oblige, and so they walked along. And so as they walked along, Hitomi explained the bits of knowledge she picked up over the years. Aki was quiet, hanging on to her every word. The return to Dogenzaka became an impromptu environmentalism lecture. Hitomi continued until she exhausted her ready knowledge. I just don't get it, Aki grumbled when she paused at last. I mean, why is it a bad thing if the planet gets warmer? Wouldn't that make winter in places like Hokkaido way easier? No, you see, because if the whole planet gets warmer, it'll cause the whole ecosystem to collapse. Aki racked his brain. And the ecosystem is what again? Is that like the solar system? Images of the cosmos filled his imagination. No, not really, Hitomi said. So it's more like a sound system then? No, not really. Oh, but anyway, you were saying the problem is with the, what was it again? Carbon dioxide. Yeah, that's the stuff. I'm gonna have to cut down on that. Sure. That settles it. No more soda for me. Soda? Hitomi asked. Yeah, it's carbonated, right? Hitomi burst out laughing. What? I'm serious. You don't think I can do it? I'm sorry, Hitomi said, catching her breath. It's just... Her face froze, her mirth abruptly vanishing. Oh no. Huh? Aki stared at her face in alarm. What is it? Oh, he's back! He turned his attention in the direction Hitomi was looking. The man with the cane was bearing down on them. Oh, come on! You gotta be kidding me! He grabbed Hitomi's hand and ran. This time, he headed for the main road, hoping to get lost in the crowd. Hitomi struggled to keep up. She was exhausted after all her earlier running. You can do it, he told her. The guy's got a cane. We can outrun him. The assassin was still hurrying after them. Once we get around the next corner, we'll be out on the main road. Yeah, okay. She strained to get the words out. Bit by bit, her feet were slowing down. It was another 50 meters or so in the main road. Aki realized that they might get caught before they got there. Sorry, Hitomi, but I gotta do this. He scooped her up in his arms. Eep! By the time the squeak had escaped her mouth, Aki was already running full out. Aki, please put me down. Don't worry, you're super light. Aki glanced back and saw the assassin, now far behind, break off his pursuit. Just as they rounded out the corner, he heard the man call out to him. Aki almost stopped in a reflex. Hold on, did he just shout my name? How the heck does he know my name? Quaking with unease, Aki slipped into the crowd. Aki, could you please set me down now? A meek voice pulled him from his panic. Huh? He looked down at the girl in his arms. People in the crowd all around were watching and chuckling. I mean, I'm really happy you saved me and all, but being carried around like this is, Hitomi was blushing beet red. Aki's impression had gone pale. Aki, wait! He really heard that right? Is that what it sounded like? He set Hitomi back on her feet, then used his shirt sleeve to wipe the sweat from his face. You okay? Hitomi asked. Oh, hey there, fish. How you doing? You ready for story time? When we were running just now, did that guy say anything? Not that I heard, no. Huh. But he just imagined it, then. Maybe. Aki was sure he didn't recognize the man. There's something weird about that guy, though, Hitomi murmured. She furrowed her brow. No matter where we run, he keeps catching up to us. That it's almost like he knows where we're going. She was right. Finding a particular pair of people in a place as big as Shibuya bordered on the impossible. And yet somehow the assassin had tracked them down several times now. Yeah, he said. It's like he's got some way of locating us or something. You got a sudden idea. That's it. What if they're doing the whole tracking thing, but like backwards? What? Hitomi's eyes widened. So you know how in police shows they always stick a tracking device in the bag with the ransom money, like that, but backwards. Okay, so backwards isn't the right way to describe this, but Aki doesn't realize that. He does seem to know what a tracking device is, at least a radio transmitter that can be located by the signal it emits. The Japanese police sometimes refer to this as a beeper, not to be confused with the English slang term beeper, meaning a pager. Backwards? Yeah, like instead of putting the tracker on the money, they put it on you. Hitomi frowned. I don't see how I could possibly have a tracker on me. I'm just wearing my clothes from home. Oh, huh. Well, how is he doing it then? Barely a moment passed from the moment he got the words out of his mouth. Once again, the man with the cane stepped out on the road ahead of them. It really did seem as if he had known exactly where they were going to be. How the hell is this happening? Aki groaned. He reached for Hitomi's waist, ready to pick her up again. It's okay, I can run by myself. Aki took her by the hand instead, and they raced into another alley. This guy will just not give up. At the far end of the alley, they could see a forklift parked beside a pile of cardboard boxes. Throw the boxes at the pursuer, hop into the forklift, and drive it at the assassin. Are you forklift certified? I don't think so. So, which one are we taking? Box strats? Okay, we're gonna go boxes then. Aki snatched the nearest box, turned and threw it at the man with the cane. The box was filled with something heavy. Saw to do some damage. Oh, is that the... Would that be the burning hammer? But box boring. Oh. He watched with satisfaction as it struck the assassin in the face. The man staggered sideways. Here, have another! One by one, Aki hurled every box in the pile. And one for the road! The last box wasn't properly sealed. It broke open as it struck their pursuer, sending several bottles flying. They shattered as they crashed into the street, splashing red liquid. The assassin dropped to one knee, scrubbing at his face with his hand. Aki looked on in surprise. He couldn't have possibly hit the guy that hard. Peering at the man more closely, he saw that he was splattered with red liquid. Apparently, the stuff in the bottles had gotten in his eyes. Now's our chance. Aki took off with Hitomi, leaving their pursuer kneeling in the alley. Their ragged breathing echoed through the maze of side streets. All that work just to wind up fleeing for their lives again. Aki ground his teeth in frustration. What does that mean? There are two main types of teeth grinding. One, the subconscious act of gritting one's teeth together while asleep. Two, putting one's teeth together as a response to anger or frustration. Here we have an example of two. Roughly at the same time, Minoru Minorikawa is grinding his teeth while trying to keep his schedule. Oh, can't do it. That's two jumps we can't do. Hitomi, he groaned while they slowed down to catch their breath at last. I'm so sorry. Hitomi was nonplussed. Sorry, whatever for? I keep saying how I'm going to help you, but instead I keep putting you in danger. Aki, no. If you hadn't been with me, I'm pretty sure I'd already be dead. No! Aki hurried to cut her off before she could finish. Don't go there, please. He sighed, then spoke again more quietly. I just want to help you. Clenching a fist, he looked up at the sky. A tiny sliver of blue was visible through the narrow gap between the buildings. Hitomi hung her head. Honestly, I can hardly believe how much you've done for me. I do appreciate it, but still. The lengths you've gone to. Aki looked at his feet and drew himself up. Well, I admit it's not just because of some gut instinct or your love for the environment, he said. There is another reason I'm doing this. There is? Aki paused, searching for the right words. I've got a little sister. Her name is Suzune. She's cute and smart and kind of the exact opposite of me, you know? His voice took on uncharacteristic solemnity. But she's got a weak heart, so she's in the hospital. No. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. But what does that have to do with wanting to help me? Back when Suzune was first admitted, I'd go and visit her every day. But she... Aki, you don't need to come and visit me every day, you know. The quiet hospital room made Suzune's voice sound all the more frail. Well, what are you talking about? Aki said. You know I'm worried about you. I'll be fine on my own, really. Aki heard that line before. The more she insisted that she was fine, though, the more reluctant he was to leave her. Besides, aren't you the amazing guy who helps hold Shibuya together? They need you out there. Aki didn't know how to respond to that. As much as it was flattering to think he played some important role, he was really just hanging out and goofing off with his pals. It certainly wasn't anything for his sister to be proud of. I'd rather you spent your energy helping people who need it more than me. What do you mean, people who need the help more? Who could possibly need help right now more than you? Aki scratched his head in confusion, and his sister gave him a weak, tiny smile. You'll figure it out, she said. I'm sure they'll find you soon enough. But I'm going to be here with you. I'll be fine. Suzune's face was pale, but her tone was firm. My big brother's going to be out there, doing his best to help people. That's what makes me happy. That's what keeps me going. Her voice was clear and unwavering, as if to head off his rebuttal. All right, Aki said with a reluctant sigh. So then, I guess, I'll just go out there and help people who are in trouble? Satisfied, Suzune smiled. Thank you. And can you promise me one more thing? Of course, anything you like. He thumped himself on the chest. If you're gonna help someone, make sure you see it all the way through to the end, okay? Okay. No calling it quits part way though, yeah? You got it. I just worry, Suzune said. I know you have a tendency to lose interest in things. Look, don't sweat it. I swear I won't give up on this. Is he gonna do a pinky promise? Aki stuck out his pinky finger. But I want you to promise me something in return. Promise me you won't let this thing beat you. Suzune looked at her, hooked her little finger around her brother's. Her sad smile fragile as glass. And then she died. And so there you have it, Aki said. Kind of a rubbish story, I know, not very funny. So your sister's heart condition, it's pretty bad? Aki nodded. You know, she called me amazing. There's nothing amazing about me. Suzune, she's the amazing one. She's been in the hospital so long, in so much pain, but she never complains. All I do is hang out and goof off with my friends. He gave a shrug. But I just kept thinking about how happy she'd be if I really did help people. It had turned out that finding people in need hadn't been all that simple. The only helpful thing Aki had been able to do was going around and picking up trash. And that's why Suzune's idiot brother left SOS to be Shibuya's garbage man. Did your friends know? Hitomi asked. About your sister? I didn't tell them. I didn't want to pin this all on her being sick. Oh, I see. At least now Hitomi understood what the fight with the local toughs had been all about. The sound of approaching footsteps jerked them back into the present. Oh my god, he's so good. The man with the cane appeared at the end of the alley. He raised his gun. There was no time to flee. Aki quickly stepped in front of Hitomi. If you shoot us here, people are going to come running, he said. I'm guessing you don't want to get pegged for murder. The assassin didn't flinch. Stay out of my way, Aki. This time there was no doubt. The gunman had spoken Aki's name out loud and clear. How do you know who I am? The man stared at him through the sights of his guns. She has to die, Aki. It's for your own good. What does he mean? Hitomi whispered. Aki, what is he talking about? Aki's mind was a whirl. Things were coming at him too fast for him to process. I don't know this guy, Hitomi. Please, you have to believe me. But... Hitomi took a doubtful step away from Aki. The assassin didn't miss his opening. He quickly aimed at her. Cut the crap, man. What do you mean killing her is for my own good? When she's dead, you'll understand. The gunman's finger tightened on the trigger. To be continued. What is going on? All right, so who? I guess we can do Minarikawa, or we can do Osawa. Yeah, I think that's the only guys we can do. I wonder if Tama would work, because we threw the boxes. Do. Okay, so no, it's still the car. Never mind. Okay, well, who does we do? Minarikawa? Minarikawa stood on the sidewalk weighing his options. Chiaki's phone call had thrown him for a loop. He had expected her to be anxious about doing interviews, but wow, she was a real basket case. Still, that didn't change the fact that he had a schedule of his own to keep. The surveillance camera story had to be his top priority. Chiaki would have to just find out some way to fumble through things on her end. He headed down Dogenzaka, scanning his surroundings as he went. There were cameras set up on streetlights all over the place. There were so many, it was hard to believe he'd never noticed them before. One over there, one over there. Electronic eyes spearing down on passerbys from high above, where they were tougher to spot. How were the people who came to Shibuya reacting to this situation? Hey, you there! Minarikawa called out to a man riding on a bicycle. Hey, you, stop! The man. Oh, who is this guy? Oh, isn't he the guy who was collecting the trash? Brought his bike to a sudden stop. It's Taisei Saduya? It's Taisei Yasuda, proprietor of a knick-knack shop in Udagawacho. Roughly 30 minutes earlier, he was wandering along the JR tracks picking up lost and abandoned items. Aki foisted off his trash onto him, so he's in a bit of a foul mood. Since then, he's been going along on his bicycle, still picking up things from the roadside. There's a trunk on the back of his bike where he stores his finds. So he's a trash seller. What's the matter? He asks. Hi, the name's Minoru Minarakawa. I'm a freelance writer. Okay. I'm just doing interviews for a magazine, and I'd like to talk to you. A magazine? Which one? 4-Star General Gossip. Minarakawa did his best to sound proud. Oh, well, I'm actually in a bit of a hurry here. Minarakawa soldiered on. See that? Pointed at the nearby surveillance cameras. What? The man asked. The blimp? The massive blimp was indeed drifting slowly overhead. What is a blimp? It's a type of aircraft that floats using the lift provided by an enormous envelope filled with lighter than air gas. This envelope, the balloon, is often used for corporate advertisement. This particular blimp has been puttering about the skies above Shibuya since last night. Oh, the camera. The camera watched them both in uncaring silence. Oh, that. What about it? What do you mean, what about it? Those cameras have been installed all throughout Shibuya. They're taking in anything and everything. Privacy be damned. A shocked pallor came to the man's face. Oh, really? He muttered uneasily to himself. I guess I should be careful next time I go picking stuff up. Hey, what are you talking about? Minarakawa asked. Oh, nothing, just stuff. Way to dodge the question entirely. Anyhow, I think there are some good things about the cameras too, the man said hurriedly. Oh, such as? Well, I mean, it must have helped catch some crooks, right? Yeah, I think you're right about that. Oh, I am? The man looked shocked to have his own statement confirmed. Are you hiding something from me? Huh? No, nothing in particular. The man shook his head vehemently. Nothing at all, really. Well, whatever, Minarakawa asked. In any case, even if the cameras are helping in arresting criminals, there are some places where people just don't want to be watched. What? For instance, how would you like it if someone set up a security camera inside your home? What do you mean? I mean, a burglar might try to get into your home. If you had a security camera, you could be alerted right away. Isn't that an extreme argument? Nope. You're the one making the extreme argument here. What? The man stared, bewildered. You're saying it's okay for folks to film people around town as much as they might like, but not to take a look inside people's houses? Yeah, I guess I am. Minarakawa snorted. You don't think too deeply about things, do you? He mocked. The man huffed in indignation. I don't see the problem, he said. I mean, it's a normal enough opinion. To want to bring down crime but also protect privacy? Well, yeah, so if they're just gonna set up cameras around town, I'm okay with that. Minarakawa grinned inwardly. You're being naive, he said. Way too naive. Naive about what? Now the man was getting worked up. Once you start letting people watch you, some of the time, you'll eventually let them do it more and more. That's how the world works. Slippery slope. A simple change in the camera angle is all you need to steal the last traces of your privacy away. That's kind of funny coming from you. Doesn't 4-star general gossip get all its scuttlebutt by invading the privacy of others? Since when are you people concerned with personal privacy? This stream was brought to you by... Meaning what exactly? Minarakawa asked. You know darn well what I mean. Have you no shame? You've got nothing to be ashamed about, Minarakawa exclaimed. If some celebrity scandal breaks, I write it up in the form of a top-class, socially conscious expose. That's the Minarakawa seal of quality. The man rolled his eyes. Please, as if anyone has ever heard of that. Your everyday freelance reporter would say something about how security firms have no right to use cameras to disrupt personal privacy, but not me, oh no. I'm the only guy who would write a first-class piece on the subject. And you want to know why? Stop pointing at people, that's not proper. It's impolite. The man's only response was a doubtful look, because privacy only exists for me to utterly demolish it. Minarakawa finished with a prideful grin. That's nothing but journalistic arrogance, the man railed. Oh yeah? Yeah, I'd rather have surveillance cameras any day if the alternative is some weird gossip piece. This time, Minarakawa didn't have a handy retort. An awkward silence descended over the pair. Huh. Right, I see. Minarakawa muttered to himself as he busily scribbled in his notepad. The man was visibly taken aback. Thank you for your cooperation, Minarakawa said at last. You gave me some good stuff. It's the giant cones in Yakuza. He held up a hand to forestall an angry retort. I realize I probably got you a little riled up. You have to forgive me. Huh? The man peered up at Minarakawa in disbelief. That's just my interview style. Sorry, I know it's a little unorthodox. Buddy, you're a weirdo. You know that? The man said. Yeah, I hear that a lot, Minarakawa laughed. But can I go now? Sure, I'll quote you as passerby A in my article. Sure, whatever, the man muttered. He quickly sped off on his bicycle. Minarakawa now had some material for his surveillance camera piece. He wanted to organize what he managed to put together so far. So he decided to head towards his next interview location, keeping an eye out for a cafe where he could stop to work on his copy. He used the map included in the project proposal to guide him. It was hard to read the words and make out the details. Oh, we gotta make Minarakawa eat. Remember that. It was hard to read the words and make out the details, but it looked like the Nokane building where the Burning Hammer demo was being held was just down Center Guy. There was no indication of which floor the event would be held on, however. That made him a little anxious, but he'd probably be able to find someone to point him in the right direction once he's got to the building. Columbo Cafe. He spotted a cafe up ahead. Coffee, please, he shouted as he strode inside. He slumped down in an open chair. Hopefully, he'd be able to hole up in here until 1 o'clock working on his article. If he couldn't have it done by then, finishing the whole issue by the end of the day would be a tall order. He pulled a cigarette from his overcoat as he waited for his computer to boot up. Having a smoke was Minarakawa's little trigger for going into writing mode. What is writing mode? Well, it's the state of being in a mood. It's the state of being in a mood to write some text. As Minorikawa goes about his job, he switches between writing mode, interview mode, food mode, and sleep mode. When busy, he'll sometimes go into writing mode and food mode at the same time. Sometimes even straying into sleep mode in the midst of food mode. When he's even busier, he'll eat and write mid-interview while nodding off. This is known as the ultimate mode. He stuck the cigarette in his mouth and lit it up. Don't smoke, kids. It's not good for you. With the first heavy draw of smoke, he felt his mind focus. The rough idea for his article came to his head, nearly fully formed. All he needed to do now was get it all written down. Finally, his laptop finished booting up. Damn, that's a slow laptop. Took you long enough, pal, he muttered to the computer. His hands leapt to the keyboard like a predator pouncing on his prey. In a matter of moments, he had hit his stride. His fingers clicked away. The music's way too loud. One by one, lines of text filled up his screen. A waitress stepped up beside him. Excuse me, sir. But Minorikawa was in writing mode. He didn't even hear her. Sir? Sir, I beg your pardon. Again, Minorikawa was deaf to the waitress's attempt to get his attention. Sir, excuse me! The waitress smacked the table. Quiet! Minorikawa snapped. He slammed the table right back. Don't interrupt me while I'm working. Not if you know what's good for you. The waitress didn't so much as flinch. She leaned in aggressively, getting right in Minorikawa's face. Who is the waitress? It's Ikumi Umiya, employee at the Columbo cafe. While appearing cute and demure at first glance, she's quite strong-willed and frightening when angry. She works night at a place called the Scolding Pub, where customers rent private rooms in which they are scolded by... Okay, let me reread that. Let me reread that. She works nights at a place called the Scolding Pub, where customers rent private rooms in which they are scolded at length by attractive girls. One middle-aged businessman once told her, "Your face looks simply marvelous when you're angry." Oh, Japan. Sir, I hate to bother you, but I have to ask you to please refrain from smoking. Minorikawa blinked. Huh? This is a non-smoking establishment, sir? No smoking, Minorikawa asked. The cigarette bobbed in his mouth as he spoke. The waitress pointed sharply to the sign on the wall. No smoking were spelled out clear as day. We asked that the patrons please not smoke so that the other customers can fully enjoy the aroma of their coffee. The waitress drew herself up in arrogant triumph. A woman sitting at the table next made a face as if she tried to fan the smoke away from her hands. Customers all around the shop were glaring at him. So you guys don't even know the first thing about the aroma of coffee, Minorikawa scoffed. The scent of coffee only truly comes to life amidst the choking stench of tobacco smoke. The waitress's only response was to jab her finger again. But this time, she didn't point at the sign, she pointed at the door. Sir, if you're gonna go smoke, please take it outside. Sometime later, sitting inside the Cafe Lautrec, Minorikawa lit up his third cigarette. At last, a safe refuge. It had taken him quite some time to find a place that allowed smoking. In recent years, many cafes and restaurants have phased out the concept of the smoking section. I remember that. Remember the smoking section in restaurants and all that? In favor of prohibiting smoking across the board. This makes a place like Lautrec especially important to smokers. There are large air vents in the ceiling to help the interior more agreeable for those who do not smoke. I remember. Now he was in a rush to make up for lost time. His fingers flew over the keyboard at lightning speed. The more he wrote, the harder he focused. At this rate, he'd have the story wrapped up in no time. Today, do you hear me? A voice intruded suddenly on his awareness. One of the other customers was shouting, "You're breaking up with that fella today!" Minorikawa's fingers drifted to a halt. He looked around to see where the voice had come from. The older man, red in the face, was shouting at the young woman who sat across from him. "Please, Dad," the woman pleaded. "Stop. You're making a scene." Ah, a father and daughter then. It was rare nowadays to see a father behave so imperiously towards his own daughter. Just how sheltered had he been trying to keep her? Minorikawa couldn't see her face from where he was sitting, but his interest was piqued. Is that Osawa? No, that's the father of the girlfriend. It's the girlfriend of the policeman. That's his father. That's her father. Remember the bad end where he got married with her and then he started a garden? Should he move to another seat where he could take a look? No. He reminded himself that he needed to finish this article. B? Okay. Besides, if this young lady looked anything like her father, he'd just as soon pass. Wow, that's kind of rude. Minorikawa went back to his typing. It took a few minutes to reestablish his grinding groove, with the two still bickering across the room, but thankfully he regained his focus. What's that? A strange beeping sound broke Minorikawa out of his writing reverie. Upon looking up in confusion, he found his attention drawn to a young woman at another table. And then one of these, and one of these, and one of these. Oh, and this, and this, and this, and this, and that too. She finished with a broad grin. Oh, it's, Chiaki. So let me just repeat your order back to you. 1 Japanese-style beef patty, 1 spicy fish roe spaghetti, 1 chicken casserole, 1 French onion soup, 1 fruit parfait, 1 chocolate parfait, 1 deluxe chocolate parfait. Will that be all? They're really phoning in, like, she likes to eat, get it? And she's fat. It's a maid outfit. You know darn well what it is, Istar. Don't play coy with me. Oh, what is this? What is this? Yeah, right. As if you didn't know that. The waitress anxiously awaited confirmation. Who is the waitress? Well, it's Ryoko Kakinuma, a second-year student at Midoriyama Academy Law School. She was hassled by a pair of hustlers on her way to work and showed up 5 minutes late for her shifts. The manager told her that those 5 minutes were coming out of her pay. So she's a bit irritated, right? 5 minutes are coming out of your pay with 30 cents? Istar isn't German. Stop being so racist. No, I was just putting a voice on. It's nothing to do with Germany. You forgot the large caramel shake. I was doing a chat voice. That's what you all sound like all together. The customer was a full-figured young woman ensconced at a nearby table. I don't think Istar's American. Wasn't he Norwegian? Lucky inflaming racial tensions. That's what I do. Oh, my apologies. The waitress quickly jotted down the addition to the order. That'll do for it now, the young woman said. For now, yikes. She's actually planning on ordering more after that. I am freaking starving right now, by the way. The pancakes are long gone. Marveling at this display of appetite, Minarikawa went back to typing. Now what? He heard the strange beeping sound again, subtly different than the first time. And this time it was closer. What the heck is that? I need to get to the bottom of this or I'll never be able to concentrate. Well, never mind. I still need to focus on finishing this article. Oh no, this freaking game again. Arthur? First of all, it's not a game. It's a storybook. I need to get to the bottom of this or I'll never be able to concentrate. Just where the heck is that sound coming from? He searched his surroundings for a moment and quickly discovered that the noise was coming from his own bag. He pulled out one of the most important tools of his trade, a bug detector. What's a bug detector? An instrument for finding listening devices. Since wireless listening devices emit radio signals, bug detectors are designed to use wide area receivers to reveal their presence. Using a detector to find something in this fashion is known as fox hunting. I didn't know that. It was on, and it had picked up a signal. To a reporter, information was life. That made owning a bug detector a sensible precaution in his line of work. The device in hand, Minarikawa casually scanned the area. Eventually, he zeroed in on the signal. Everyone, your attention please, he announced. Someone has set up a listening device in here. Several cafe patrons turned their heads in disbelief. A woman wreathed in pungent perfume flashed him with a disagreeable look. Oh, come on, that's ridiculous, she huffed. There's something fishy going on. The only thing fishy right now is you, the woman declared disdainfully. Why don't you get out of here and let everyone enjoy their meals? No, I smell a scoop. You what? You, what's your name? None of your business, that's what. Now hurry up and stop that awful noise. The other customers were starting to murmur loudly. There's a listening device here, folks, Minarikawa said. How could that not bother you? Do you know where it could be? Excuse me, the woman called out. Could someone please do something about this man? A waitress hurried over. Sir, please, you're bothering our other customers. There's a listening device in here. That's what people should be bothered about right now. The waitress took a reflexive step backward at the words listening device. You're the one who's intruding on everyone, the woman shouted. Honestly, could you please stop that racket? It's not me making the racket, it's the bug tracker. Just who the hell do you think you are? Police? Somebody call the police. Ma'am, please calm down. There are other customers here and I'll calm down once you get this disrespectful bore out of here. All I'm doing is sharing the truth. You can't kick me out for that. The waitress wavered, clearly intimidated by both of them. You sure got a lot of nerve, the woman snapped at Minarikawa. Go play detective somewhere else. I'm not a detective, I'm a reporter. Really now? By far my least favorite profession. Oh ho, and why is that? Did someone write a story about you, lady? Got skeletons in your closet? You shut your mouth. How dare you? I smell a scoop here, all right. And that smell is coming from you. Oh, stop it with your scoop nonsense already. It's no use trying to hide things from me. You have no idea what you're talking about. Oh, yes, I do, lady. Go to hell. After you. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to do that. As they shouted over each other, the words blurred together until they were barely words anymore. The onlookers could hear only the indistinct, meaningless raving. And still the yelling went on and on and on. Eventually, there came the sound of approaching sirens. But even when a police cruiser pulled up outside the cafe, the two didn't slow their bickering. Bad end. Sniffing for a scoop. So I guess we won't be using the tracker. Well, never mind. I need to focus finishing this article. Minarikawa immersed himself in his writing again. Before long, he stopped worrying about the curious sound. Oh, I'm so hungry. The plump young woman set about devouring all the food she ordered despite the strange looks she was getting. Now that was an appetite to be reckoned with. It took her under 3 minutes to... Oh my god. Took her under 3 minutes to polish off the lot. Then, looking not the least bit sated, she picked up the menu right back up. Was she seriously going to order more? Minarikawa was starting to take an interest in this young lady. There might be a story here. He conjured up a series of headlines in his mind. A woman inhales 30,000 calories in 3 minutes. That's the equivalent of 100 pieces of shortcake, 300 glasses of milk, or enough steak and rice to feed about 30 people. No, he needed something with more punch. Food for thought, an expose on obesity. No, that was no good. He wasn't writing for a fashion mag here. A gourmet day in Shibuya. Swing! That was it! He'd be able to whip something up if he went with the foodie angle. Minarikawa got up from his seat. That's pretty impressive, he said to the hungry diner. You always eat that much? The young woman glared back at him. Not always, she says. Suddenly, tension filled the air. Oops, was that way too blunt of me? I mean, she is a young lady after all. Maybe I should change up my approach. Who the heck are you anyways? The woman asked. I'm a freelance writer. I was hoping I could do an interview with you real quick. You want to interview me? The suspicion was plain on her face. I do. I mean, girls all over the world worry about their diets, right? I hear that, yeah. So would you be willing to share your secret or your technique or whatever on how to eat without getting fat? What, me? Sure, I mean, look at the figure you're maintaining despite eating all this food. The young woman's expression brightened up. Oh, you noticed? There's actually a lot that goes into all of this. Yeah? The basic thing, though, is to eat 10 meals a day. Minarikawa struggled to keep his jaw from dropping. 10 meals a day? She flashed him a chubby-cheeked grin. Ha ha ha, you don't know how diets work, do ya? She chuckled. Eating only 1 or 2 meals a day, that's what will get you fat. You gotta space out your food into smaller portions throughout the day. That's the fundamentals of dieting right there. Oh, what happened to the smaller portions part? This is the lucky I only eat 2 meals a day, actually. Maybe I should eat 10 meals a day. Now that I think about it, here I am eating 2 meals like an idiot when I could be eating 10. I see, he said. Any other pro dieting tips you could share? Well, for the basics, I'd say always drink protein instead of tea, yeah? Drink protein all day? Seriously? Once again, it took all of Minarikawa's willpower to keep his thoughts to himself. Let's see, what else? Oh, and there's this stuff called Burning Hammer too, but... She trailed off with a little wince. Wait. Minarikawa perked up. Did you say Burning Hammer? Oh, you know it? I've heard about it anyways, Minarikawa replied. He decided it was better off to keep his plans to head... He was better off keeping his plans to head to the sales demo a secret. There's a sales demo later on if you're interested, the woman said if she were reading his thoughts. So full disclosure, I am working for them right now. She handed Minarikawa an advertising pamphlet. There was a more detailed map of the venue included. What a stroke of luck! Now he didn't need to rely on the crummy map in the project proposal anymore. He'd have no trouble in finding the venue for the building's various floors all broken down for him. And actually, I gotta get back to work, the woman said. Thank you so much for your time. I'm gonna hang back and finish my copy here. The woman left the cafe. Minarikawa went back to his laptop. He'd gotten some new info on the Burning Hammer sales demo, but he'd lost some more time. The surveillance camera piece still wasn't finished. It's going to be a near thing to get it done before the sales demo started. Yet instead of returning to his writing, he got out his cell phone. What if Toroyama had gotten another of his crazy ideas? If he did try to hang himself again? The thought had Minarikawa too worried to work on his copy. The phone rang several times before someone picked up. Mr. Toyama, where are you right now? Minarikawa asked. Right now? I'm on the run. Somewhere near Shoto. It's an upscale residential district. Despite being smack dab in the middle of the city, it's a quiet neighborhood, rife with greenery. The residence of the former governor of Tokyo is here, built on a massive 2,200 square meter plot of land. There's a shady hotel district a short walk to the south, making for quite the juxtaposition. He's on the lam. Toyama was speaking in an oddly hushed tone. Shoto. After you left the office, some guys came by to collect my debts, so I made a run for it. Okay, so he wasn't dead, but the situation was still pretty bad. Look, we'll get you through this somehow, Minarikawa said, hoping it was true. Just keep your head down and stay out of trouble. Stay where you are right now. You need to get back to the office ASAP. Well, what dost we do, chat? Should he stay in Shoto? Or should he go back to the office? will say. Just keep your head down and stay out of trouble. Stay where you are right now. Stay where I am, but what am I supposed to do? Toyama's voice dropped in and out. It sounded like he was moving quickly. Just find some place to hide and lay low for a while. All right. He hung up. Hirokawa let out a deep sigh, then turned back to his laptop. Oh. Keep at. We're on keep out with Tama. We had a jump with Aki at one point. We'll have to do that later. The rain won't let up. No matter how much time passes, it just won't stop. Ever since that day, the sound of raindrops have been burned into my mind. Such an awful, heart-rending sound, driving me to strip my life down to shadows. And yet, no matter what else I abandon, nothing will make the sound of the rain stop. Osawa stared at the postcard that was nestled into the final page of the photo album. He purchased it 2 years earlier while on a trip with Maria to the Middle East. What is the Middle East? Well, it was originally used to indicate Iran, Afghanistan, and the region surrounding them. In modern times, the term refers to part of southwestern Asia, excluding India and Afghanistan, and the section of northeast Africa along with the Mediterranean coast. However, in Japan, as well as the US, the term Middle East is often understood to refer specifically to those parts of the region with strong Islamic influence. He'd mentioned that he was being sent there on business, and Maria had just blurted out, "I want to go." He'd mentioned that he was being sent there on business, and Maria had just blurted out, "I want to go with you." She recently developed an interest in the Middle East conflict. The ongoing friction in the Palestine region between the Jewish people who founded the nation of Israel and the Arabs who had been living there previously. The religious and historical context of this cultural clash is well beyond the scope of what can be elucidated here. Yeah. No politics on this stream. And apparently she had been yearning to see the area firsthand. His daughter's newfound curiosity had taken him aback. She had always tended to be quiet and self-contained. The clumsy conversations aboard the airplane, meals eaten together in awkward silence. It all felt like such a distant memory to Osawa now. "Ma'am, I'm afraid I can't let you do that." He heard Kajiwara's voice outside the door. "Why ever not? I'm just going out for a bit." The detective was arguing with Great. "And just who was it who told me I should try to go about my life as normal? Osawa's wife sneered. "Ma'am, please, how would you feel about being told to just sit around and wait?" Ai's angry shriek jerked Osawa to his feet. He hurried from the study to try to calm her down. Ma'am, please wait." But by the time Osawa had made his way downstairs, his wife had already stormed outside, despite Kajiwara's attempts to stop her. Osawa doubted anything he could have said would have stopped Ai from leaving. Trying to physically keep her from going out would only have made for an even worse uproar. He was glad that at least it hadn't come to that. He was turning to head back to the study when Kajiwara caught his eye. Resigned, he headed down the stairs and bowed to the detective. How eerie. It's such a different vibe, this guy. Like, compared to the others. Any idea where she's going? Kajiwara asked. I mean, at a time like this? Osawa shook his head. I wouldn't know. I didn't think so. You know, your wife really is something else. Osawa arched an eyebrow. That's one way to describe her. A rather rude way, as a matter of fact. Oh, no offense intended. It's just that ever since this case started, you've both been holed up in your own respective rooms. The more Kajiwara spoke, the more irritated Osawa became. What's your point? He demanded. I just mean, you haven't been having any marital discourse? According to one survey, in roughly 6% of households, discourse between spouses is largely non-existent. That's kind of sad, isn't it? Various reasons for this were offered by the couples in question. Many claimed that they were too tired to have the energy to talk. Or stated, we wind up fighting when we talk, or we have nothing to talk about. It's so sad. Mind your own business, Osawa snapped. Kajiwara dipped his head, deferently. The two of us not talking isn't a new thing, anyhow, Osawa added. I have a policy of not having pointless conversations. He seems like such an ass. I don't know why, but he seems like someone very hard to deal with. It is quite common for Kenji Osawa to make it through an entire day without having a single conversation. On many days, he opens his mouth only to eat or brush his teeth. His current record is a streak of 14 consecutive days during which he didn't talk to anyone. The dream. Imagine that. Not talking for 14 days. Huh? It didn't look as though Kajiwara quite understood. Microorganisms such as viruses don't have conversations, and yet they still continually propagate in order to survive. Thinking about Why are you crying? I'm thinking about viruses. Osawa was back in the familiar territory. He felt a surge of confidence. Once you have a clear purpose, conversation is unnecessary. And do you have a clear purpose for the relationship with your wife, Mr. Osawa? Of course I do. To be a family. Arms crossed, Kajiwara struck a thoughtful pose. Real men don't talk? Yeah, they grunt. That's what I learned through video games. At least I've learned one useful thing today, Mr. Osawa. Namely, that you don't like to have pointless conversations. That's a good thing to know. Kajiwara uncrossed his arms for a moment, then crossed them right back again, furrowing his brow. But see, that's funny. You seem to have a tendency to have pointless conversations with me, and because you keep coming to talk to me, Osawa saw red. You don't leave me much of a choice. He's like the Japanese Columbo. Tanaka poked his head. This is so bizarre. It's so surreal, this scene. Tanaka poked his head out of the living room. Is something the matter? He asked. No. Osawa struggled to regain his calm. Perfect timing, actually. There's something I need to talk to you about. He turned back to Kajiwara. My apologies, detective, but would you mind giving us some privacy? Kajiwara didn't move. Detective? Osawa gave the policeman a hard look, then saw him crack a smile. Yes? What is it? Kajiwara said at last. Don't you play dumb with me. Give us some privacy. Is this a discussion I shouldn't overhear? Actually, yes, it's work-related. There are some business matters I'd prefer to keep confidential. I see. Reluctantly, getting to his feet, Kajiwara slipped away into the living room. Tanaka, Osawa began. Maybe you're right, Esther. About those emails. He stopped abruptly. You might be right, Esther. Kajiwara had reappeared in the living room door, staring right back at them. What are you doing? Osawa demanded. Oh, should I not be watching? Osawa felt like he was about to burst a blood vessel. I mean, you never told me I couldn't watch. Because it should be obvious. The detective made a scolded puppy face, then closed the living room door. Osawa let out a heavy sigh. He'd never been an extrovert, but he didn't recall human interaction being quite this draining. Anyway, sir, Tanaka prompted, you were saying? Yes, about those emails. Something doesn't make sense. I don't understand how Mr. Makino was able to get the antiviral agent to anyone on the outside. Sharing an Okoshi pharmaceutical drug with external sources while it was still under development required the approval of an executive committee that included Osawa himself. There should have been no way the antiviral could have been sent out without his knowledge. Naka hesitated a few moments before responding. Are you aware of the strife between the company president and the chairman? Osawa shook his head. He was a researcher through and through. Factional rivalries held no interest for him whatsoever. Makino effectively leads the chairman's team, and the antiviral agent is their pet project. Despite being the executive officer in charge of the project, however, Makino still needs the president's approval to... You know what? Forget about that right now. What do we know about security? In theory, it was physically impossible to get the antiviral out of the lab without detection. Entry to the biohazard laboratory where it was kept required fingerprint authentication from both Osawa and Tanaka. Technology that allows an individual's identity to be verified by scanning the fingerprints. It is one element of biometrics, the measurement of physical characteristics to identify individuals, or even devices that can identify people by checking in the veins of the palm of their hands. What? Or the irises in their eyes. I know the eye thing, but I never knew the veins in the palms. What? That's crazy. Without the two of them there, there's nobody who could even get into the storage facility. What is the storage facility? Because a dangerous virus is also stored there, the lab where the antiviral is kept is protected by an ID checkpoint. as well as a sophisticated 3-tiered lock system that requires fingerprint authentication. Multiple security guards are also posted outside the laboratory entrance 24 hours a day, making it all but impossible for an unauthorized person to get into the secured storage area. Tanaka followed his drift. Ah, yes, I see what you mean. He inclined his head as in thought as Osawa continued. Could someone have overwritten the fingerprint authentication program? Let's check the entry logs for the storage section. We'll just have to ask Makino in person. Oh. So what do we go for? I'd say a B. Oh man, this game drains so much out of me. So much reading. Well, we'll go with B. Well, let's check the entry logs for the storage section. Anyone who wanted to get inside had to present their ID card to the security guard on duty. It should be possible to check the computer logs to see if there had been any suspicious activity in the system. Tanaka shook his head. I already checked the logs, sir. There was no evidence of anything sus. You're welcome to check out for yourself, though, if you're that worried. No, I believe you. And the fact that the antiviral had been used for clinical testing. Either Makino had taken it from the laboratory personally, or someone working on his orders had done so. But how? Was there really some way they could have bypassed lab security without anyone else knowing? Osawa couldn't think of how it would be possible. The living room door opened with a soft creak. It was Kajiwara, and he looked stiff and pale. Something terrible has happened, he said. Visions of tragedy flooded Osawa's mind. Maria, is she? Kajiwara shook his head. No, it's not that. What is it then? Osawa asked, his voice trembling. Sir? I need you to stay calm. Osawa swallowed the lump in his throat. We're out of bananas. You see, the toilet's clogged. Is this a VN? Kinda. It's over. Plunger in hand, Osawa stabbed vigorously at the recalcitrant toilet bowl, struggling to loosen the unseen blockage. What is a plunger? Well, a plunger is a cleaning utility implement consisting of a soft hemispherical rubber suction cup attached to the end of a dowel. By pressing the cup over the opening of a drain that has been clogged, one can apply suction pressure to jostle the blockage free. It makes a variety of sounds when used, such as glub, glork, schluck, schlorp, schloop, and pop. How much did I miss? There's been how many episodes of 4 or 5? So about 10 hours. Kajiwara was at his side, wiping the floor with a rag. How did this even happen? The detective groaned. Are you kidding? I was hoping you could tell me that. The plunger sucked and schlorfed at the porcelain basin. This was a first for Osawa. He never tried to unclog a toilet before in his life. Think of it as a blessing in disguise, Mr. Osawa. What the hell are you talking about? What about this constitutes a blessing? Constitutes a blessing. I just meant that at least this happened before you needed to, you know, do your business. Without the slightest hint of guile on his face, Kajiwara picked up his bucket and headed for the sink back in the washing area. Grumbling to himself, Osawa pumped the plunger over and over again. This was almost funny. Almost ridiculous, in fact. His daughter had been kidnapped, and he was stuck unclogging a toilet. He was quite possibly caught up in a major corporate conspiracy, and here he was, unclogging a toilet. Tanaka poked his head in the bathroom. Did you fix it yet? If you need to urinate, then use the restroom on the second floor. That's alright, here's fine. Nani? Tanaka stepped in beside him and abruptly shut the bathroom door. Now the two men were crammed together in the narrow laboratory. Hey, Osawa hissed. What the hell are you doing? Tanaka made eye contact with Osawa via the mirror. He spoke in a hushed voice. I've been waiting for a moment I could get you alone. What? Tanaka sidled around to face him, giving him an intense stare. Sir, could you be quiet for a moment? Tanaka had tears in the corners of his eyes. This will only take a moment. Osawa could feel the warm breath of his deputy whispering against his cheek. Tanaka reached for something inside his coat. Hey, come on, knock it off. Osawa lifted the plunger like a weapon. Look, if you want to talk, we can do it out there. Osawa shoved Tanaka out of the bathroom. All right, do as you wish. Osawa closed his eyes. Closed his eyes? Oh my god. All right, do as you wish. Osawa closed his eyes. Are you sure you're ready for this? I'm not sure. This is happening pretty fast. To be honest, I'm rather nervous. I understand, sir. I mean, now that I think of it, we do spend day in and day out in that lab together. We work hard. We play hard. I suppose this was bound to happen sooner or later. Sir, could you please open your eyes? I'd like you to look at this. You'll have to forgive me. This is all a bit sudden. Please, sir, take a look. No, I can't. It's just the two of us. It's probably going to shock you, I know, but please, just look. But is it really that shocking? It's so big. Oh, yes, very, he says proudly. Now, please open your eyes. Okay. No, I can't. Sir, trust me. This isn't easy for me either. All right. Bracing himself, Osawa opened his eyes. Tanaka thrust out his cell phone. Here, take a look at this. Huh? Osawa blinked and bewildered, then refocused on the phone. He could never have anticipated what he saw on the LCD screen. Keep out? What? Blocked? I cannot believe it. So we're keeped out on this. To be continued on that. Kano. We had bad end, but I think we can go through something else now. Keep out on Minokawa. Keep out on Osawa. Okay, well, actually, I think we will call it there for tonight. We do have another stream in 2.5 hours. We have Tactics Ogre. So yeah, I think that'll be it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And yeah, we'll see you later. See you next time. And see you for LNS. Thanks for watching.